Hey, Jason Rice here at Lotpop, going over another lot party quick tip. I fixed the other one. I went live, shut it down, except man, my English sucks. Anyways, and then here are the two metrics that hold key to your used car success. So, and it's not the first 30. Usually we push the first 30. So if you do or don't know, I push first 30. Okay. So I'm going to cover that real quick. This isn't the two metrics that I'm talking about. When we talk about the first 30 is what percentage of your sales are going out in the first 30 days. Most successful stores, if you want gross and volume, get 60 to 70% of your sales in the first 30 days. That's not the metrics that I'm talking about, because that one is, I would say, the holy grail. It's very, not that, I mean, it's easily accomplishable. I mean, it's accomplishable by the fact that we have plenty of dealers doing it, but even those dealers, my most successful dealers, will go in and out of that cycle multiple times during the week, during the month, during the year, of either hitting that number or not hitting that number. So it's a little bit harder because there's more things that you lose control of to control that, meaning, to get that high percentage going out in the first 30 days, you got to have the photos right, your transportation right, your parts and your service, the people aren't sick, to get things online quick enough. So I'm not talking about the first 30, because what I want to talk about is a little bit more controllable. And that is the two metrics are your 30 to 60 day, what percentage is there? What's up, Kevin? And then what is selling 30 to 60. The middle bucket is what I'm talking about. The carry to sale on the middle bucket is probably the most crucial to your success of your inventory, to keep it clean, to keep it moving, without going through age problem, clean it up, get out of it, back to an age problem, clean it up and get out of it. The middle bucket, the 31 to 60, are the two carry to sale rates, are the two metrics. And I'm going to give you the numbers that you need to be looking at. I've said these before in other videos, but I'm making its own video because it's that important. And that is, we got to look at the percentages. Look at your percentage of dollars. If you have Viato and even First Look, they clump it up. 30 to 60, if you're clean, meaning less than 10% of your inventory aged over 60 days old. If you're clean, you want to keep that middle bucket at 25% of your dollars or less, okay, if you're clean. All right, let me explain that. The reason why is, in order to get 60 or 70% of your sales in the first 30 days, you need 60 to 70% of the sales there. So you can have 75%, 65% fresh, but then 25% in the middle. If you have 65 fresh, 25% in the middle, that's 90, 10% age. Ideal situation. But the biggest thing is, in order to stop any inventory from bleeding through age buckets to go 60 plus, again, to prevent an age problem, you need to be selling about 5% more than what's sitting in that bucket. So if 25% of your inventory is 30 to 60 days old, that means you're going to have to at least sell 30%, 5% more than what's sitting there, to stop them from bleeding through to 60 plus. So if you have 25% sitting there, that means you have to have at least 30% of your sales going out of that bucket. And as we know, anything over 30, 40, 50, 60 days old, your profit margins are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And so you're minimizing your actual profit potential in your inventory. So again, the first 30 is real important. Again, your goal is at least get 50% of your sales in the first 30 days, but 60 to 70%. But again, that's a struggle. So the two key metrics is, what are you carrying 30 to 60? If you're clean, be at 25%. Make sure 5% or more is being sold out of that bucket. If you have an aging issue, you want to have that number below 20%. That's the time, and we've got almost 7 years of data of trends that I can show you. The moment that dealers aged inventory, 60 plus, started dropping off was the moment that we've got their middle bucket, the 30 to 60, below 20%, and again, pushed out 5% or more out of that bucket. 25, 30% is moving out of that bucket to stop a bleed through. Now I have dealers where 20% sitting there, but 40, 50% of their sales are going out of there on that 30 to 60 because they're just not aggressive enough out the gate, or have a hard time with turnaround, have a hard time with titles and paperwork and detail and transportation, whatever those issues are that prevent you from selling them 0 to 30, get them out of the 30 to 60 bucket. So the two metrics. And I tell this to our team all the time when we're talking to our stores, and when I evaluate any of our inventories and any free evaluations that we do here, as I'm looking at that middle bucket, because that is your way to control not going in and out of the cycles of having an aging problem, back to cleaning up, having an aging problem, and taking those beatings to clean up that inventory. Because right now, a lot of people are sitting on cars that they bought back in September and October and November when things were pretty strong. And then everything, or back in August and September, guys start buying a bunch of cars in September and October, thinking things were going strong still. November and December hit, and they hit a wall. Every year you do. January's coming around, and now they're in hope mode to get out of it come tax season. So everybody out. And so a lot of people have age problems right now. And what you wanted to do, again, to prevent that, because what's going to happen come April, March and April, especially April, you're going to hit another wall. And in May, you're going to hit another wall. In June, it's going to be another wall. In July and August, it picks back up a bit. But when it comes to traffic trends, other than your marketing, because again, you could throw more money in April and have a big April. I'm not saying you can't. But traffic wise out there in the industry, that's a month that everybody kind of hits a wall and goes, man, it seems like somebody shut the faucet off. And if you just manage these two metrics, you're 30 to 60, don't let it go over 25%. If it does, start scrambling and selling as much as you can out of it to stop it going 60 plus. So as much as I promote first 30 and trying to get 60 to 70% of your sales in the first 30 days so you can see your biggest gross potential, that's when dealers have the big gross months, when they hit those type of numbers. But I understand some dealers just struggle with turnaround time, transportation, listing cars, title issues, funding, whatever, that slowed my sale rate down 0 to 30. If you can't get to that kind of number, 60 to 70% in your first 30 days, then manage that middle bucket. You have more control. The car's already been through service. You probably have the titles. All that stuff is done. The car's sitting there and it's 30 to 60 days old. You have all the control to get off that car. So these are two metrics that you have the biggest control of: carry rate, sell rate. Again, if you're clean, less than 10% age, maintain it around 25%. If it's at 30 or 40 right now, you better start getting 35, 40, 50% of your sales out of there, squeeze off the bleed through. And so you don't get any more aged. And then if you have an aging problem, again, more than 10% over 60 days old, 15, 20, 30%, get that middle bucket below 20% and selling 5% or more out of it, and you'll strangle off your bleed through. So let's say you have 20 cars that are over 60 days old. The goal isn't to get off those 20. The goal is to stop the bleed through. So get it at 20% or less, sell more. Once you strangle that off, then you only have 20 here. Then you work out of those 20. Do you do them all this month, 10 this month, 10 next month, 7, 7, and 6, however you need to pace them out. But you got to strangle it off first. And then once you do clean it up, maintain it at 25%. Those are the numbers. If you do that, you'll stay clean. But 60 to 70% in the first 30 will maximize your gross. Hope that was helpful. If you want a free evaluation, lotpop.com. If you're watching this on YouTube or anything, there should be a link here for more video tips and a link here to subscribe. And all these go up on podcasts. And again, the YouTube channel, subscribe there. You'll get them every time. Thanks.